I started streaming. I'm in the middle of a flight. There's a career mode flight. There must be career modes going from Rome State in United, as you can see down there. And I'm running at 4 times speed, so it's a little jerky. We'll talk about that in a moment. And heading to Echo Valley in Canada. My setup is an AMD chip. I can their highest speed one, and then the AMD 780T graphics card. I'm flying on the MSFS 3, and my equipment is slow it down so it's safe. My equipment is a full set of Honeycomb, Alpha Bravo, Charlie. I'll talk about that in subsequent streams as well. I've been in career mode for about a month and a half, 2 months. Done a lot of testing in career mode. My streams are going to connect that, and eventually I'll have a halfway decent PDF put together that you can just read through if you're interested in career mode. And what you can't do, the hacks you can use. So while we're sitting here waiting, you can see there's going to be no maps. If I look at this Echo Valley maps, there probably won't be any. There's not even a taxi map, so let's hide that, go back to the flight. But you can always use your assistances. I have that map to Alpha, so I can turn it on and off. You should see, it tells me to turn it on again, yes or no. I usually keep it off until I get to the airport. It's just in the way. And you can see we're about 68 miles from Spuz. Ways to go. Plenty of time to do landing planning. And since there's no maps for this, you go to the information button on your Navigraph. And if you don't have Navigraph charts, you should. You should get the subscription. And you see the elevations, 3,650 feet. All patterns are 800 feet of AGL. So add, round that up to 37, and then add 800, you got 4,500. So our pattern outfit is going to be 4,500. We always come in 500 above the pattern at a minimum, so that's going to be 5,000. So we know that we want to be 5,000 when we get to about 10 miles out. Smaller aircraft will be shorter, bigger aircraft will be longer, so figure 20 miles out for a high-speed jet and 5 miles out for a Cessna 742. I'm on a Caravan 208B. It's the stock model from Asobo. Unfortunately, you can't pull the nicer Caravan in for Just Flight and use that. Wish could, can't. So this is pretty well modeled. Most of the buttons work. The de-icing works. The emergency power doesn't. But I'm not going to practice emergency procedures in this anyway. And we're about to leave our United States VFR map and go into the generic Canadian map because they don't publish them easily for Navigraph. If you look at the different maps available to you, Canada's not in the list. I'm sure they're working on it, but today it's not. So, and I don't like flying this real time because every flight is 3 hours. I try to get 3 to 5 flights in a day, and I can't do it. I mean, that's 12 hours of flying in real time. So I use the sim rate multiplier. Now the sim rate multiplier has some limitations. You can go 1 or 2 times easily, and that's a little add-on called FS Desktop. And then there's the rate multiplier. It's called MSFS sim rate monitor. You can get that on flightsim.to for free, and just move it into your community folder. And then FS Desktop, highly recommended. It's not expensive. I recommend purchasing it. I think it's a donation purchase. Well worth the effort or the time and effort he's put into it. He continues to maintain it, and it does a good job. That's desktop is not the same thing as FS Meetup. So I made the mistake of downloading FS Meetup. That didn't do what I wanted it to, although it's very nice. It didn't do what I needed. I need something about a dialogue, window dialogue window into virtual reality. So I'm not using Oculus mirror to display. I'm just using the monitor, because the way they're set up now, you can get your display right on the monitor instead of full screen, which is fine. I think it's only showing the left eye, but that's perfectly okay. Whereas the mirror is choosing the one left eye. Then we're at 1. So we'll show what happens when we go to 2. Now, the sim remark, you pretty much the Microsoft can pretty much handle 1 or 2 for everybody, even if you have a modest sim. The amount you can multiply is dependent on your CPU, not your graphics card. And I've tested this out. So even if you have a RTX 50, 80,000, whatever it's called, it's not going to matter. It's the CPU that limits what you do and how much load the CPU has to do. So you can see I'm getting significant instantaneous vertical speeds even at 2 times, and that's because of the mountains. The Microsoft Flight Simulator way overestimates the turbulence of the mountains, particularly when you're in high speed mode. So you can see now it's fine. Let's go to 2, and immediately we're seeing plus or minus 100. Now you're going to start getting dings much more than 500. So I barely put it to 2 and start seeing dings. That's because of the terrain I'm flying over. If I was over flat terrain, we wouldn't see it. The other factor that affects the simulator is cloud density. Behind the clouds, not the weather, density of how many clouds there are. I haven't tried reducing the quality of clouds and terrain to see if it improves the speed multiplier, because it has no priority. But if you have a lot of clouds all around you, or if you're socked in with clouds, even though you can't see beyond the clouds you're looking at, I think the simulator is still rendering stuff you can't see. And that's a really big load on this simulator to calculate that. So I can't do much more than 1 or 2 times here. And it looks like I can't do that. Now, I was able to go 8 times for almost the whole trip until I got over this mountain range here, but I didn't have to slow down. And you can see that it looks like things are going to smooth out a little bit. And you can see by this indicator here that it looks like, so we got to max out to the 11,001 here. I'm only at 12, and the airfield is at 4. So wait for the surrender. You can see here that we have a peak of 12.3. I'm at 12. So I'm going to have to pay attention to this, and probably I'm going to have to follow this river in order to get to that airfield, which is fine. That's not going to increase a lot of time, not going to affect on fuel. You see I have half tanks, well more than halfway. So even without me doing the actual fuel calculation, I will be fine. But you can see that what they do, if we look at what we have here in the map, you can see that just like ours, yellow indicates higher peaks, whereas green indicates flatter terrain, which may not be lower terrain. In the Canadian map, it's indicating change in altitude more than it is altitude. So we're going to see it 11 one way over here. We probably won't have to factor that. But we'll have to pay attention to that because eventually, after we get past Spuzz, we're going to have to go down. And it looks like we'll be able to run along this creek bed. But you can see there's not a lot of room down there to fly. There's really not a lot of visibility afterwards. Once you're down there, you're only going to get 2 or 3 mile visibility at best because of mountain obscuration. So we're just going to sit here and wait. This the flight's well, I was going to say something. I guess it didn't. And we're not too far from Spuzz. We're 35 miles out. Now, because I'm in VR, I can't really see the chat. Let me see if there's. I can't remember if I got OBS on here. I don't know if it's see chat. Let's see. I know I'm at 3 at 1, but I don't know if I'm watching. Let's refresh this and see if the chat window shows up. No, that's the problem. The OBS chat window doesn't show up as its own name. This is a child of OBS. So I thought I had a way to do that. I just don't know what it was. I don't know what this button is. My add-ons that I have are Beyond ATC. I use that when I'm flying offline missions. I don't use that. I always use that sim first. Is my thing. Beyond ATC, if I want to fly somewhere that doesn't have that sim. And then Primo. But I need some money to do it, so I'm flying. And the MSFS top, I'll tell you about that. It shows your windows. FCR embedded. I just opened it. See, this is for flight recording. JD Checklist is a great little add-on. It gives you your checklist for the different aircraft. Not so useful for aircraft that have built-in checklists, but it's nice to have a checklist you can just put on regular aircraft. And he's got quite a few in there. They're always adding more. If I bring it open, take it over. There it is. You see, you have airline, you have all sorts of them here. But if I go to general aviation and just look at the caravan, 208, there we go. You see there's a nice checklist right here. It should start after start. If you're not familiar with an aircraft, this is a great way to familiarize yourself with it. I've flown this enough times that I don't need to memorize these, but it cares about the speeds. Good airspeed control is the secret to flying. And the rules for that are very simple. In a propeller plane, pitch equals airspeed, thrust equals altitude. And a jet is different. In a jet, pitch equals altitude, thrust equals airspeed. So, just so you know, if you're flying a prop, your pitch is going to be your airspeed. Thrust is going to determine your altitude. Excess thrust equals up. Insufficient thrust equals down. You could say that works for jets too. I just found, I'm a real world pilot, and I found my instructor told me to reverse the thinking, and that helped me greatly in understanding the throttle and thrust control of the jet. I have GSX. I use it occasionally only for commercial airliners. I have FSLTL for my traffic injection. Color panel is a clever little thing that I haven't really used a lot, but what it is it creates a color panel on your monitor, or in this case, and then you can set that to be the green screen, effectively, for your area, and then it will give you a camera look. So you can set a cyan, for example, across the bottom where my controls are, and I could look down and actually see the controls that I'm passing, which I found is fun to use. Axis and O's, I have Axis and O's for, I haven't had to use nearly as spotted I use it to map PDMP aircraft to my Alpha and Bravo. It's a little easier than doing it in the settings. So I do everything I can in the settings first. If I can't do it, then I go to access mode, so I add the control and find that red chart. So that's what my add-ons are. You can see that we haven't got spuds yet. We're still 20 miles out. But you can see the canal or the river that we're going to be headed toward. So, and we know, zoom out a little bit and look, 11,000 here, 12,500 there. We don't want to do that, that's for sure. So we're going to fly in all the way down this river, across here, and then we're going to come in, and the career mode wants me to land on 2.5, which may suck. Let's see. Let's see what 2.5 means in terms of hilltops and things. But the Caravan has great maneuverability, so we can come into the airfield really tight. Worst case scenario, you can come in high and circle out to the that's the plan for arrival. We don't have an instrument. And then, of course, if we have to go around, it's going to be a climbing turn, and I will probably go to the north because it looks like we have more opportunities to take one of these over the passengers to come back around fast. So the climbing turn, stay over the water. Of course, if everything fails, you just avoid the acceleration stuff. A little bit about career mode. When you're flying career mode, you do not need. Career mode is going to give you an altitude. Open EFB. I'll show you that. If you open EFB, always the leftmost button. And if you go down here, this is that's the information in this picture. I'm going to change routes. Here's my observations. Do not mess with this. Do not change these. For one thing, it doesn't change career mode's assignment. This does not talk back to career mode. So if you change it, it will alternate the career mode. What it will also do, because of a bug that I discovered, is it will make your controls and your Garmin go wonky. So, and particularly if you're doing it during flight, definitely never mess with the settings for the flight mode during flight. It does not do well. It goes so far as to reboot the Garmin, which if you're in instrument conditions can be a little stressful. And then I've had it actually move my throttle props, and in one case, for some reason, moved the next condition number all the way to shut to cut off. And so I had to restart the plane in flight. Actually, I think on that one I was okay. On the other one where it messed with the throttle and props, the plane went into a stall spin. I had to just quickly abort this by hitting the escape key and restart the mission. So, harsh lessons learned. Don't mess with the EFB. Now you see we're almost at spuds. You can see where we need to go a little to the left. We're at 1 times. I always check to make sure before I do my own flying. So don't try to fly in a high sim rate. That will end in tears. Okay, and I know that I can get down there. So we're gonna go downward 12. We're going to step down. So we're going to go down to 10. 2,000 at a time. Not too fast. So we're going to 10. I like to use the FLC, which is the speed control mod. So I'm going to turn FLC on now. You can see it says 146. That's okay. Usually just send 145, 140. So next thing I'm going to do is reduce my power to about 10 o'clock. You can use the extra throttle numbers, but it's just easier to use clocks decisions. And now it's slowing down. We're speeding up rather. I'm going to take myself down to 140. And I'm going to use the throttle to set my rate to something. works. You can see now I'm not getting quite to the river, which I want to do. So I'm just using the autopilot heading settings to point myself down the river. And that was pretty good there. So I'm not sure how low we'll be able to go. But could I stay at 11 and then drop down? Yes, I could. But this is more fun. This is what you would actually, this is what I would do if I were doing flying. As a real pilot, make sure you get a good instructor who's good at mountain flying. Who can teach you the vagaries. And the biggest favor are the winds. Knowing where the winds are and understanding how these different canyons can affect the winds is important. For example, winds coming from the west or southwest, which is actually up here to the northwest, means that I'm probably going to see a change in headwind if I was down by these canyons, which means things are going to pop up lower. So it's telling me it's a course change for the airport. I'm not going to do that. But it's nice to know the desired track, which is 3.0. We're getting resolved. It's not a terrible thing. We're coming down to 10,000. 10,000 looks okay. I want to stay 10 for a while. I don't want to go down into the valley until I absolutely have to. And so I'll stay here, increase to 2 times. Now, when you can do this if you're on a you can't do this. If you try to increase your sim rate, definitely, see what happened there? Doubles the limits. Go back to 1 minute recovery. And bring the throttle back to cruise. Real. Let's see what's slap on 20 before. What he was just done. So, again, we'll settle. Everything has to be settled before we can change the setting. Otherwise, you'll immediately start going back. And with this many mountains, 16 times it's unachievable in most cases. If you're at night on a flat surface or going over water, no clouds, you can probably do 16 times for a period of time in that part. But you're gonna have to slow up. You're gonna have to go back to 8 before as soon as you get up there, see clouds. It's not really. And the 8 times is actually I usually net 8 times, but that's when I'm in relatively flat land. Cloud density has to be pretty high to get rid of the 8 times more. So, and then 4 is like when, because there's so many mountains here, but I don't really see keep it 2 like that. I watched the instantaneous VSI there. If that thing was above 500, so it's happy between 1 and 2. Experiment, see what happens before. Just kind of watch it. And yes, you can do the heading changes, small changes here. It won't screw that up. And we're pretty good at forming. So that's okay. So we'll leave it there. If it gets, like, so if you start seeing it bounce plus or minus 500, bring the speed back down. You can see I'm using the map. Dead record. So we'll go back to 1. And that's not going to work. And when you go and it just keeps going back down, you're actually not gaining anything. So just leave it at the best state. Unfortunately, up here, in this particular one, it's 2, which makes me sad. Leave it at 2 for now. Remember, taking off and landing has to be. Taxiing, if you are on a straight line and you have a stable taxi speed, then you can use 2. Be careful. You no longer judge your taxi speed. And you want to err on the side of slowing down. Because if you don't instead of speeding up. All of a sudden you see a pilot error message that says you exceeded your taxi speed. And you probably also see a maintenance issue afterwards and question mark. So you get dinged on performance, you get dinged on money. If that happens when you're taxiing out, just restart the mission. It's just not like that. That's what I'm going to do. So, again, all this is going to be in my PDF book that I'm going to publish in this week or two. There's a lot of findings and tests, a lot of actual information. You can look at the progression premier mode pretty much anybody's website. I did cargo. So I did cargo. Started with Cessnas. Flew it. But as soon as I had the money, I got 2 more Cessnas. So I support in terms of money. But oh my goodness, you got to do a lot of missions just to get the money to buy your first caravan. Once you get the first caravan, and you've flown it a few times, and you figure out how to fly well, and then you'll probably end up with, you need about 9 mil to buy the caravan. I need 9 mil to buy the caravan, because by the time you buy them, you do the maintenance on these ones. You can buy them new, but you want to actually price that out. So look and see how much it costs new, and then look and see these ones. Look at the maintenance costs that it's going to require. That'll tell you which is which one you prefer to have. Remember that your used ones are also going to end up with ongoing maintenance costs that you won't see. The new one won't start showing the maintenance costs until $500,000. So sometimes it's cheaper to just go for the new one. The other thing is when you're flying passengers like the VIP flights, you will lose customer satisfaction if your plane is dirty, or if the paint needs to be done. So it's going to probably be cheaper to use. It's probably going to be cheaper to use the new planes for the flights. I haven't done the medevac and firefighting yet. I got the qualifications for it. I haven't all those companies done. So I'll run that out on the board, but I think I will discover that for firefighting and active line, I'm betting that the used ones are fine. But for the flying passengers, it's in the rear mode, that's higher criteria. So we're turning 8315 now. I know, look at this, I really want to follow the tan line. And it says I'm a good 50 miles from the airfield. I'm at 10, so we have 3,700, 800, 500, 500, about 5,000, so 5,000 foot drop from 10 to 5. 5 times 3 is 1,500. I got plenty of room to get down. Sort of pretty up there. There's some snow, not too much. Oh, that's another thing. When you're flying in the mountains, pay attention to the temperature. Right now the air temperature is 4. When I started this flight, I had to go to 20,000 feet initially, and I'd say, wait a second, check around with yes. But the caravan is not a non-icing aircraft. It is an icing tolerant aircraft. The anti-ice will get you to buy you time to do something about it. Anytime you see ice, you got to do something about it. And that means go up or go down. If you know that you're in thermal inversion, going up might be the spot right there. But for the most part, going down will bring your temperature up, and will clear the ice over. But you can't leave it. The only one ones you can do that for are no nice, like high-end props, like a TV hat or higher. Can handle no nice. And then most jets can handle no nice because they just funnel the exhaust through the wings and they're pepperons. So they can usually do no nice. It's important to know what you got. If we look, we see we have a shortcut, looks like, to the right, which I'm going to take. See what that does. Yeah. So if we look at that, there's a line there, a little tiny line. And we'll take that. And just go that way. Would I do this in real life? Absolutely. I want to be over areas I can land. So, it wouldn't be pretty, but I could land. Let's see, we'll go 2 times. Just pretty stable right now. You can do skip to descent when it's highlighted and when it's hot. So, I don't think it is. It is. Oh yeah, it is. But anytime you skip a new section, you lose your bonus. Your bonus can go up to 50% of the reimbursement. So, the only time I do skip to descent is when I'm doing a qualifying flight. Because all I have to be able to do is take off and land on a qualifying flight. Which is bizarre, but that's true. So you can do a qualifying flight that includes in-flight requirements. You don't have to do them. You can just skip it. Let you do it. So when I was doing I think it was a caravan actually, I had to do a short field landing in Toronto, which is absurd. But I just went up and skipped to descent. And by the way, the landing, it didn't grade me how well I did a short field landing. I did one and rolled out, I passed, and did it again, and did an actual short field landing. But it's still funny, it's successful mission. So, the career mode is not in any way connected to your flight path. It's not in any way connected to your actual altitude. The only way career mode is grading you is on certain altitudes, hard stoppings. So, hold short lines, it's grading you on hold short lines. For example, if you spawn on Merville Instant Texas and you are on the runway, you get an immediate ding for that short line, which is unfair. That is the way it is. So, I usually just abort those missions away from the So you can see we're about 28 miles out, and based on what I'm seeing in this picture, it's just over that ridge line. But what we're going to do, since we have plenty of room here, and I know we have plenty of time, we're going to go a little bit to the left. To this bridge here, 10 meters left or so. And see where that little bulgers to comes around. That's about where the field is, based on what I see here. I can see just, I don't know if you see right here, this little tan plateau appears to be the plateau off to my right on that. And the green is probably the far right side green over there is probably the field. So at this point we'll head to it. I know I can go down to 5,000 feet, so and since this is pretty high, peaks are 10. I'm at 10. I don't see too many peaks around me that meet my level except to the left, which is this was level 5. So I think go to 8. We're going to try it. We'll try to go down to 8. We'll go slowly. If it doesn't work. And Yeah, so I set my altitude on Bravo. And then I turn my controller flight to the airspeed, which is about left, fully left, counterclockwise, left. Press my FLC button. And then I'm going to reduce my power. 10 o'clock. 11. And I'm going to reduce my airspeed. Just I'm going to reduce my time to I'm within 15 miles. Now I can use my assistance to see exactly what it is. There it is. I'm off. It's totally off. So we're going to change. Go here, we want to land on 2.5. So I'm already 90 degrees to 2.5. I'm going to stay here at 350. Excuse me, 10 degrees right if I'm home. And now that I know what it is, I know 6 is my pattern, I can safely take this thing down to 6. I'll just use my power to control my descent. So I'll take it down to 10 o'clock. I'm just going to watch my rate of descent. I run about 508. So I just adjust my throttle to get there. Now, could I do this manually? Sure. Hold on. You can see where the final is, and it tells me my announcement position, and I do that. I mapped quick reply to my transmit climb 1 button.
Charlie Bravo Juliet 4 traffic, Cessna November 62754, 10 miles south, 8,700, inbound to land, runway 25, Charlie Bravo Juliet 4.
Remote, it does quick replies. But you'll notice I have also the column. And that's because sometimes the career mode screws up and doesn't keep up with ATC. And when that's the case, we'll go a little faster. So, and when that's the case, the way you can fix it is to tune whatever frequency is on the comm panel and then reestablish on the phone. And keep it back to the ATC comes in case someone lost it. But I hate using the comms here. I don't like it. That's the ATC person. So I don't do that. What I do instead is as soon as I get to my IFR, establish my IFR with an ATC, I use the selection to cancel IFR and just turn it off. Career mode does not know, does not care, it does not enforce visual flight rules, it does not enforce instrument flight rules, it does not enforce its own flight plan at all. There's no need to worry about those things. We know we want to go to 6,500 above. So, we're 5 miles out, landing right on. Career mode, landing late on at 10 miles out, or you will dig that right now. So, I should make sure it's 10 miles out. Now we're close enough, close to 6,500 above, and the power is going to be 10 o'clock, because that's what 35 is. Turn it off. I'm going to trim for 125. First bunch of flaps, and I don't have gear, but I'm going to do it down because it's easy to practice. And then I trim it 95. You can see I should be doing right pattern because it's not back. Now that I don't have the heading anymore, I'm turning the heading over to 250. That way I know where I need to be. down. There's the runway. So we're just going to descend quickly. Oh, it's going to lead all the way back. At this point, if any of you have crashed the plane just because you're being flat, your mixture can't be high when you're taxiing. Crash the plane. It doesn't matter on takeoff, on landing, where it's at. So I set it to medium or set it to low idle. It doesn't do anything to the fucking resistance. It doesn't do anything to the plane. We'll be able to take it off a little bit. If you have to go around, shut it back up to medium. So usually at this point I want full flaps, and I always want to have a little bit of power. And you can see pretty much where we need to be. You can see the runway. This stupid thing may or may not tell me that that's final. So what I do, let's see if it goes, yep, and that's fine. I'm ready to go to the compound, which is that's fine. Now, of course, the rendering gave me trees, which I was
Charlie Bravo Juliet 4 traffic. Cessna November 6 275. 4 is on final. Runway 25 to land. Charlie Bravo Juliet 4.
65. So give it a power state 65. Power off, it should be good. Okay. And now we'll drop it in. Come on. And immediately reverse power. Let it come all the way to the slug. Okay, and then we're done with that. Mixture's down, bring the flaps back up. Do not turn off the landing light until you are clear of the runway. That will give you a performance day, particularly at night. So you would normally do all of your taxi prep after you cross the whole short line, do it the same way in the group. It's too easy. It's very easy in the simulator to get ahead of what is required in the simulator. So there's a whole short line. It's weird, but that's fine. Again, and the caravan does not like to turn fast. Be nice and slow, or you'll tip the damn thing. So wait till you see that whole short go to 0, and stop. Then mount your taxi, which is right in front of me.
Charlie Bravo Juliet 4 traffic.
Now I can turn my
Cessna
landing light
November
off.
6
Taxi lights
275.
don't matter.
4 is taxiing to parking. Charlie Bravo
Turn
Juliet
off
4.
strobe light like you would in real life. You do not have to follow the marshalers. You don't want to.
Finally, home sweet home.
And then shutdown is pretty simple. I have a toggle set of parking light. It's far right toggle of mine. Everything else is off there. Prop goes back. Throttle goes back. All the lights come off. KVMs go off. Mixture goes back. Battery goes off. And I get out of API mode. test 1, 2, 3. Yep, so now you can hear me. Okay, what is that? Often I reset these every time I lose. Okay. So, what I was saying was, this total here includes my reputation bonus. However, the total that came on the screen earlier was the basic one to skip. So if you skip any section, you're losing more than half or a third of your pay. So try to avoid skipping sections. It's a good thing. And then we're going to change this. That rating is important to move on to get better things. So now, see how stupid this is. You have a light, you have a light. They did not give me a meeting to fly this guy back. That is so yucky. So I'm gonna have to bring this guy all the way back to Cambria to get to Southern California. Or Geraldine to go in the middle of nowhere in Canada again. The only reason I might do this one is if it gave me a decent flight here with a lot of money. But it doesn't. So when you select these flights, look at what it's going to take you. I would much rather take my chances on a flight. Where'd it go? There it is. To Cambria down here in Southern Florida. To go be more activity and opportunity there. Plus all these other things. So I'm going to put this fellow here. It's 547 and change. It's going to cost me 56, so it's really 498. It's going to cost me 56 to move it out. I could just leave him there over today and see if he got a mission, but Canada just doesn't have a mission, so I'm going to get it back to the States. And it's going to, the only reason I did that here was to open that little circle up in case something comes up later. So you have to, your mission selection has to be careful. I got it here. Now I'm going to go back because I'm actually on the fly. And then I need to, so you can see I'm at 6.8 mil. I'm trying to get to 9 mil to buy another plane. So go down here and look. I got this guy that's successful. That's that mission. I'm not going to fly this for the radar fly. I come over here. This is a medium cargo. Then I have somebody there to do it for 586. So that's the next one. This is my Cessna that I was just leaving Nashville for the This is my TBMs with VIP flights. Here's another caravan. So he doesn't have any missions near him, and there aren't any really good ones handy. So I'm probably going to find a spot, someplace to move him to a more active area. You see, there's nothing useful. So I can move him here up to Montreal, which might not be a bad idea because Montreal usually gets missions. So that's a higher price, 628, so it's going to offset my transfer costs. So I might do that. So it's only 14. That's not over 600. So get to 7.5. Set the mission. Now, before I fly, let's do a little bit about confidence. Back out. We'll come back and fly. Let's do companies. So I started, I will go to all my companies. I started with cargo, that's the best profit. You see I need to do some more on that profit there. So I'm doing some flights. When you go to manage the company, as you know, that's where you buy airplanes. I am going to buy a plane here. I know that I want, and I'm going to buy the Sky Courier. That makes more money. It's heavier cargoes. So that'll open up some heavier cargo to get a Sky Courier. And these are 5.6 mil, but it has to be maintained, right? So here's one for 3.5. Let me show you something. I choose that one. I'm going to have 3.545 mil and change. 5.5 mil if I have a change. 7 mil for that plane. So we got 7 mil to buy that bit. So you got to think about this. That's not a good idea. So on a plane that's got a lot of maintenance issues. So if we look here, this one is 5 mil. You have 6.5 change, 7, 8.5. So this one's 8.5 mil to buy that used guy. So let's look at this one, who's 5.6. Doesn't have as much. 7.1 and change. So this is of the used ones. Number 3 is the best option. That's 7.1. And it's the highest purchase price. But if you look at a Sky Courier New, which is not going to have the maintenance issues, it's not going to get sick. Let's put a little bit for it. Where is it? So there may not be a Sky Courier though. Here it is. So they want 7.5 brand new. So I want here, or I'm sorry, here is an 8. So 7.1 used, or 8 for everything in perfect condition. I would probably go for the 7.1 used. Let's say that would save me $1 million. Obviously, I can't do it today because of that. But 7.1, when I get to 9, I can buy that one. Again, why buy that one? Because then all of my Cessnas and Caravans become AIs and just earn income, and I have a cargo plane to fly for myself. So the other flight I had was the other company I had is the VIP company, and this is just for fun. And I bought a new Cirrus jet and a new TDM. Now I've already done it, but I'll show you. Because these are passenger planes. This Cirrus jet has to be washed, and you don't want to wash it until right before the mission. Because if you wash it and then transfer it, it'll be dirty, and you waste the best. So don't do that. Wait till it gets to the mission. Use your manage and prep button at the mission and wash the plane before. Same thing here. Okay, everything's new. It's dirty from a transfer. So when I go to do a mission, I'm going to have to wash it before I fly. The cargo planes, cargo doesn't care. I don't care either. So we're going to go back to our missions and go back to this guy set up. If we look again, it's VFR all the way with light winds, 10 knots or less. That's not a factor. If you see winds above 10 knots, you need to think about that flight, because if it turns out it's a crosswind, you're going to be challenged. And you don't want to damage it. So if that's the case, just wait, because when it regenerates the mission, the next time you open up Microsoft Flight Simulator, the weather might be different. So I don't know why the red dot is there, because I don't see anything here. But if we click on it to view the briefing, we're going to take off at 18, winds are 253, so we have a 7-knot crosswind. That's probably why. We can do a 12-knot crosswind in the Caravan. Here we're landing runway 3. We're going to about maybe an 8-knot calibrate, 30 degrees, 96. So we have nearly full crosswind of 11 knots, so that's why we're leaving it. We have full crosswind. That'll be much more interesting. So we click accept mission. Oh, EFB. Do not mess with the EFB. It doesn't change the mission. It doesn't change anything in your mission. What it will do is it'll screw up your Garmin. It'll screw up the throttles. For some reason, there's a bug with changing this. This EFB does not play nice with rear mode. Don't mess with it. But I can look at it and see that I'm at 876 takeoff runway, and quick look here, and I'm at 121 at this runway. So drop. This 4 is my pattern altitude, so 1600 will be the pattern altitude when I get there, and we will care about taking off. So now I already know I'm going to be a 1600 pattern, and it's going to ask me to go to 11,000 feet, which is completely reasonable. We're going eastbound, so we'll be 11,000 feet. We're going to see cancel IFR, and then just because I want to realize I'm going to go to the VFR altitude of 11,500. Accept the mission, which I do on the monitor. And the reason to do on the monitor is because it's easier to do the requirements. I say I need to paint this guy, but again, it's cargo and it's dirty. So I've got enough. I got 6.8 million. I can spend 2 million on washing or repainting. And if I do that, it will also come out clean, of course. So now when I go back, it's not going to show me clean here, sort of in the picture, but it will show it to me. And when I get to the point, I don't like it here. There must be a Microsoft Flight issue with air traffic because career mode uses Microsoft Live traffic, which never works. And I don't. And trying to use FSLTL or GSX to inject air traffic, it doesn't work in career mode. It will not inject it. But it will put a load on your CPU, so don't run it. So leave it turned off. You can leave Kowalto on if you have GSX. That's the server underlying. It will not affect anything, but there you go. Okay, right click on the monitor to get your mouse. That's the way I have it set up. That's most all my mouse settings are default. I make some small changes. I moved my zoom to button number 4 just because I like it better. I have 5 buttons, 2 thumb buttons, 4 and 5 are the thumb buttons. You can see here it's all nice and pretty now. So we did that. I can hit Shift C and jump in like it says. I just do it. Okay, now we're in the plane.
Hi, Captain. Happy to work with you today. I'm your co-pilot. My name is David Owen. Nice to meet you.
And I'll see you in the plane. So OBS, when you switch, temporarily loses connection and comes back. And VR has just quirky things to the system. Now I keep everything set already, but I just quick look my props and mixture and throttle are all back. I move the throttle just to make sure, I move all of them to make sure they move. Make sure nothing happened. And then start up on here. I've done the checklist enough times I can skip it. But turn on the batteries and alternator. Turn on both avionics. You can do battery and avionics 1 if you want. The simulator doesn't care. Now, something I do is I turn on all my passenger stuff every time. I turn on my beacon. I turn on the beacon's on because I'm going to start the engine. The nav is on because I'm sitting in the plane. That's how people know you're in the plane. The nav is on. Okay. And then I have my key or my ignition switch mapped to start. So start is mapped to start and everything else is mapped to off. So I flip it over to start. And then I have got some quick keys mapped so I can jump down here and you can look. And as soon as I see it's at 12, I move my mix up halfway.
Our
I don't
sensitive
wanna do
cargo
this way, but I
containers
think
are
it's
built to
sit
handle
down.
slight turbulence, but
And
maintain
then
a constant flight
I
speed
move my,
and adapt to changing
starter motor
conditions.
back to
A
normal
prompt,
by
safe
flicking my
delivery
key.
is the key
So
for
we
our
have a
business
couple here.
success.
It just makes it easier sometimes to show it. Bring my throttle up to full. Once your throttles are full in the caravan, you don't mess with it again. Put my feet on the throttle rudders correctly. I have big feet. And make sure they're moving. They are. And now it's taxi. Now, before we even go in, let's do everything else set up. So what do we say? We know that we're going to go to 11. So let's set our altitude to 11. If you're flying in Vatson, or beyond ATC, you would set it to your first assigned altitude. But in this case, they don't do step climbs, so we'll just set it right to our terminal altitude. Okay, and then I hit my barometer. I use a button, the default B key, but you could just as easily do it here. I turn my transponder on. Although in the career mode it'll do it for you. And then I set my CPI to GPS. I don't know why it always goes to localizer, but it does. And then I got my lights done. Got my okay, and then now I go ahead and I set my flaps before I taxi. That cabin heat does nothing. I just like turn off for fun. And turn off my parking, which I have a switch for it. Switch. And we move the taxi up just enough to move. Once I get to the speed I want, 170 is plenty. 170, 180. Oh, I didn't announce. So see how I didn't announce? Here's what we do. We're gonna go right back here. Yeah, we're gonna restart the mission. Gonna go back to monitor mode. So I made a mistake. Let her run. So get out of VR mode. It's easier to do things. We'll repeat the process real quick.
Hi, Captain. Happy to work with you today. I'm your co-pilot. My name is David Owen. Nice to meet you.
Do my VR reset. Okay. Put everything. Bring all my throttles and everything back. And my lights all set. Power's already on. That's good.
TOS system test. Okay.
Restart. So it gets 12. Turn it to on. Oh. Turn it on. The motor. My hand was on the prop. Bring it up to.
Our sensitive cargo containers are built to handle slight turbulence, but maintain a constant flight speed and adapt to changing conditions. A prompt, safe delivery is the key for our business success.
Make sure to hit taxi announcement this time.
56 Delta traffic. Cessna November 72910 is taxiing to runway 18.
Okay.
56 Delta.
Get my barometer. My CDI. Now the other thing you can do, and I'd like to do, is I know that my climb is 95, so I'm going to hit FLC now. And I'm going to change my FLC to 95. That way it's done ahead of time. Rolling real slow, I don't care, it's fine. Emergency, just throw the parking brake on. Okay. Put my landing lights on. Put my strobe on. Put my cabin lights on. The EFB is all screwed up. I don't touch this EFB, I only use it for display. I put the entire trip on there so I can get an idea of where I am. Okay. And I'm going to be at 95. I'll set my heading when I get on the runway. Give myself a notch of flaps, announce takeoff.
56 Delta traffic, Cessna November 72 910. Taking off runway 18, east departure, 56 Delta.
The requirements on the voices are all based on when it starts. And your response to it is based on the simulator number of seconds, not on when the conversation completed. So if you're getting a call from ATC and you're in a high sim rate mode, you might see the acknowledge button come up immediately because the number of seconds already passed, which is dumb, but that's what it works. Okay, so we're set to 19er. Close enough. Remember, runways are closest heading, not the exact. Okay, bring it up there, and bring my power up. I already know where my throttle needs to be. So up it goes. If I was in a short runway, I would have stayed with brakes on until I hit full power.
V1, rotate.
Yep. Give it a little bit of brake when it goes across. Now I'm here. Gear up. Even though it's up here, I do it anyway. Flaps up. Autopilot on. Heading on. Flight control on. And it didn't fall.
Don't sink. Don't sink.
Cleveland Center, Cessna November 72 910 is type Cessna Caravan, 1 mile south of 56 Delta, 1200. Request flight following.
Cessna November 72910, Cleveland Center, squawk 0704.
The career path. So,
Squawk 0704, Cessna 910.
Well, there's you took off from the airport and the specific runway I told you to.
Cessna 910, radar contact 2 miles northwest of 76 Oscar Hotel, 2200, altimeter 3007.
Doesn't care. So I've had
Roger,
cases where
Cessna 910.
it was bad weather. They wanted me to do a visual landing. I did an instrument landing, and that did a certain landing. That was just fine. Now we get our RFR clearance.
Cleveland Center, Cessna November 72 910, 2 miles north of 76 Oscar Hotel, 3000. Request IFR to Charlie Sierra Yankee Tree. Ready to copy.
Cessna November 72910 is cleared to Charlie Sierra Yankee Tree Airport as filed. Squawk 0704.
And I just have to do all this calm stuff.
Cessna November 72 910 cleared to Charlie Sierra at Yankee Tree Airport as filed. Squawk 0704.
And then I can switch to
Cessna 910, read back correct. Radar contact 4000. Altimeter tree 006, turn right heading 060. Proceed on course, climb and maintain 11,000.
Again, it doesn't care if you follow. The only thing you have to
Turn
follow
right heading 060. Proceed on course. Climb and maintain 11,000 Cessna
plus or
910.
minus 300 on the altitude. So now we're here. And now we can see cancel IFRs come out. We're going to cancel. You wouldn't do that. in real
Cleveland
life.
Center,
You certainly would
Cessna
have to do that
910. Cancel IFR at this
or beyond
time.
ATC. But in
Cessna
Burma, you can't.
910, IFR flight plan is canceled. Radar service terminated. Squawk 1200. Maintain VFR. Frequency change approved. Good day.
Monitors releasing before. didn't need it till now. No, FS desktop. On the simulator monitor. Select it. And graphs load the new flight. And you can see I'm going up the St. Lawrence Seaway all the way. Altitude does not matter. And down here we're looking at 2,000. Over here, about the same. I've flown in for real life many times across the city. And 11 is plenty. Now since we're going east, it's odd. So in VFR, so it's odd plus 500. So we're going to go to, we don't even need to go to 11,000. We'll go to 85. We don't need to go that. There we go. Now the other thing you'll notice, I don't have the fuel yet. So I have mapped the increased fuel quantity choice. I mapped it to Windows paste, so it's Control V, and it does 25% of the time. So I just hit it to bring myself up to about 3/4 neck. That also saves me a ton of money. I don't have to buy gas. Besides having to find your fuel quantity, increase fuel quantity, map it to something you can use, and add it lets you climb faster when you take off. Then you add your fuel and then you fly to the destination. If you didn't get it quite right, don't worry about it. You can always do it with something for you. So now we're at 2, let's see what 4 does. 4 is pretty smooth. We're already coming to 8,500. We'll just leave it there. We'll just stabilize. I'll go back to 2 and stabilize 2 times. See, it's going to be a pretty smooth flight, so we're heading correct. Take it. Then 4, watch what happens. Doesn't look too bad. That's what 8 does. Now I know I can't do 16, so stay down. But this demonstration will show. So it's plus or minus 300 right now. Just watch it for a while. You can see if I were to go more than that, it would go crazy to 16. I wouldn't try. So you turn off the pathways when you need it. And since this has, again, it looks like there's no maps for this guy. Let's look at the destination. Solo. Nope, no maps there. No flights. So we'll have to use the information page, which tells us it's only at 76. So we're going to go back down out to 14, actually 15. And I do, just every once in a while, hit the barometric pressure. Now, if you want, you can periodically update to your radio. In real life, there is no way I would fly across the Great Lakes. I'll tell you a little story about that. In the real world, I was flying from Huron up here to Mississippi with my family in Cherokee 6 Prop. And Detroit routed me this way around to the south instead of to the west, which is what we did. I didn't like it, but I think it's because they were landing west and east. And he wanted me to cross at 4,000. I absolutely refused. So the lowest I will accept is 8,000. So he begrudgingly gave me 8,000. Somewhere around Tambi here, I lost my engine due to it was snow. My carburetor heater box failed, and my carburetor iced. Cycling carburetor heat didn't work. Cycling, you can also cycle reference mixture. You can create a backfire and that can somewhat clear the carburetor, which didn't work for me. So I ended up declaring emergency and landing effectively as a glider in a snowstorm, no visibility. real low. Luckily, my instructor trained me how to land all the way to the runway outside. And that's a lot. That's a good 10 hours of intense training to do that. If you're a real world pilot, I recommend you do that. Anyway, we land on the runway. Okay. The only reason I didn't kill myself and my family is because I trained for it. Alright, so we're at 8. It doesn't matter. Just in case. Now we're over water and clouds. 16 auto working. Let's see what happens. So we're going to watch 300, 800. Oh, we're going to do 1,000. Back to 2. Back to 8, maybe 8. Now you'll notice the mission requires me to 11,000. The mission doesn't care. If I don't get to 11, it will not care. I won't get dinged for that. So, and I don't really need to zoom in the VFR chart because I don't really have to climb over mountains on pathways on this mission. So, now we just sit here. Sure, go. Talk about some of this. So, maintenance. You have to routinely maintenance the planes that are you have to maintain all. And it doesn't tell you. Well, it sort of does. When you go to the maintenance page on an aircraft, if your technician says, "Hi, how are you?" it means that there's nothing to be maintained on the plane. So you don't have to do this. Remember, however, if it's a person, if it's a plane that takes passengers, you're going to need to wash it. Again, wash it at permission. Don't wash it now. But if it says anything else, like there may have been some damage in the last flight, you're going to have to do the reverse maintenance and see what you can fix whatever. And rarely you don't have anything to fix. The other indicator is on the list. You might see a caution triangle, which is a red, orange, with an exclamation point next to one of these control units. And it will not say these maintenance, it will just have that icon. What that means is that particular item is not preventing the plane from flying, except in certain missions. So, for example, if it's lighting, it has that icon. It probably means the plane will not be sent on a mission for any mission that requires landing light switch missions. So you want to repair it anyway. When you get to where it needs maintenance, it doesn't mean the plane will not fly. It does mean the plane will not receive the reimbursement it does. And so you'll see your 20 grand or 150 grand drop to 130 grand, 15 grand. So you lose money if you don't maintain it. At some point, the plane will not take missions. So I would say every 4 or 5 days when you're on there, just go through all your aircraft. If you manage aircraft button, fix what needs to be fixed. Yeah, it's going to run you $500,000 to fix everything. Just plan it into your fleet management maintenance costs, because you'll recover that pretty quickly in the missions. Again, and you will see that more often if you buy a used aircraft. You can see we're coming into clouds. I'm going to slow this vehicle down to 1. Clouds. So we're going to go up to 12.5. So we're up to 12.5. Quick. And power's all the way up. I hit flight control, and then I'm going to set my airspeed to my climb speed, which is 1. So I want to be above this stuff. Trying to keep it straight. And you can see that includes what looks like some haze going all the way around. Powers up. We need more. You know, we're at 95. I've gone all the way to flight level 230 with this thing set at 95. It did not stop, which is just fine. So, in fact, I just go ahead and set that. So set it on VY. 95. With this bad one column. We'll just let it sit there. Now that we've got it all set, and you can see at 10, 5, just over the clouds, 12, 5, perfect. Now we go back to 4. 8. And we'll zoom on up, save us some time. You'll notice my 11,000 runway is going to pass through 11,000. There's 2. 5. You can always go 1 time or 2 times just by the information. So I suppose if you have a really slow computer, you might see some trouble with 2 seconds, but generally not. Okay, let's speed it up. We're back to 8. Now we're about most of the out there. And since it's 180 minutes. 180 minutes divided by 8 is, let's see, I should know that right. Well, 100 minutes, 8 minutes divided by 9, it'd be 20 minutes. So 8, no more 20 minutes. So it'll take you 25 minutes to run a 3-hour mission. And at this point, you could use MS auto pause, and it will work. So you can force it to auto pause, and it goes use the escape auto pause with that, which is nice. So you could set an auto pause at, for example, multi, and if it doesn't recognize multi, you can actually use the latitude and longitude multi. Now it shows in degrees, minutes, seconds, and auto pause uses degrees and decimal seconds, so you have to convert it. But you did on and then it will pause your career mission with an escape button. So if you don't want to sit and watch it, you can walk away, come back in 30 minutes, get back on, re-enable everything, the mission, and finish your mission. Useful if you gotta go back to it. I'm older, so I should say also if your mom calls you to do chores, you don't have to import your mission. You just have auto pause. So MSFS auto pause, I'll place them back to you. Wonderful little application. It is useful. Remember, you can't use that in that zone. You're not allowed to auto pause in that zone. You're not allowed to sim rate in that zone. So don't do that. I'm a controller in Jacksonville. And when you do that pause, you disappear from the screen. If you do sim rate, we can't follow you. So the system doesn't do that very well. I shouldn't say that. We sort of can follow you. And we'll immediately report it to a supervisor who will take care of the system. So don't do that. So anyway, it's not too bad. We're 10 minutes in. We're halfway through. We're halfway on the flight through, which is great. If it gets in the roll, we'll just fuel increase. see from the pictures that from the deviation from the track that we have a significant wind coming from that way. And we're going to be landing on 103. So probably slow down. There's a big turn. Once it settles, reset my, the reason I always set my heading is that if things go crazy, the first thing I do is turn off the autopilot. But I want that heading to be my last one heading, because again, as you see, it's different than the track. So I know it's the thing. Same thing with my altitude. As I said, if you mess with the EFB while you are flying, it will reboot the alarms will reboot on you. And then it becomes important. Just if that happens, just keep it flying straight line. Don't worry about direction. Just try to maintain altitude and maintain direction flight. Wait for the environment to reboot, and then once it's rebooted, put the autopilot in and heading. And you should keep the heading safe. Let the autopilot get comfortable with size. Obviously, if you're simulating speed, you want to make sure your sim is back to 1. You can even put it getting less than 1. If the plane's getting heavy, you're having trouble controlling flying things, put it at 0.5. It'll make it a whole lot easier to catch up. So, when things go awry, remember, fly the plane, fly it straight. That's it. Don't do anything else. Set your throttle so you don't stall. That's it. You don't care what the airspeed action is going to do. You care that you have a straight line of flight, and then the plane's happy. Then you put your autopilot on for that same straight and level scenario. Don't worry about the altitude. Don't worry about the heading. And then go and look and see in an organized manner. Looking at the next waypoint, heading. Look at your altitude. Let the plane get to the altitude you should have been at. And then you can use then switch to GPS or not to see if that works correctly. Be ready to go back to your heading. Remember, if you're going to go to nav mode, sometimes you have to go and hit the direct reset. Set your heading to the waypoint before you switch to the nav GPS. That way, if you flip back, it doesn't go back to you. Now, if you look, we got this big stack of clouds in front of us, which doesn't show anything on weather, but I personally don't like it. So I'm going to turn my heading bar to 10 degrees left. We're at 53. We're going to go to 45. I'm going to switch to heading mode. I did that at 8 times, which was okay. So we're going to go around this building. So we'll do 5 more degrees left. Doesn't really matter. Again, the remote does not care if you fly the flight plan. It only cares that you get to the airport. So you see, it's building up this here. We're just going to go around it. And you see, and this won't change much of our flight. I will slow down. So if I look, the bottoms aren't very low, right? And I know that I go down as low as 8,500. So what I can also do is bring it back around. I'm going to slow it down so I can show it good. Let's go to 2 times. We're going to set the nav again to direct. I'm going to reset it. I'll hit direct. It shows what I'm going to. Hit enter twice. It changes. I'm going to now turn my nav, my heading, to get online with that. Okay. And then I'm going to do the direct again, because I don't want to have the offset. And then I'm going to hit nav it looks like I can go low. I know I can get down easily in 500. So we're going to take ourselves down 5,000. It's a big problem. So switch to turn it down. That's at 8,500. Let's see if it goes 5. And then same thing. I got it all set. I'm going to hit flight control. Reduce my power to the top. And then I'm going to change my speed to 135. I'm sorry, 145. Down is 145. Up is 130. And then you can see it looks like we're getting nice speed of the cloud there, which would be nice. Let's speed up to 8. And I'll slow down to 8. And if we look, we know that the highest, we looked and we know the highest here is 20. So if 8,500 is low enough, I have to raise 6,500. I think 8,500 would be low. In the real world, there you go, look at that. So it's here 2 times. And we're on the build-up, so you can see more ahead. Things slow at 8,500. It's close and captures. It's captured. Bring the power back to normal. I love having those back searches after and now it's nice and smooth, so we'll try 4. It's good. We'll try 8. 16. So then we will get back to 2 now. So let's back up so the land side. We got 1,000 is the ladder. 1,500 B. I don't worry about it until I get to the top. Since I'm now down to 8,500, it's only 7,000. So it's only 20 miles out. Looks like that'll be there. You guys are going to have a big direction change here. You don't want to bounce up. So I get 1 mile out. Yeah. It's 2. Okay, there's no dings at all for using the cigarette like that. Use it intelligently, think about what you're doing. You see, in Canada, we don't have good charts. Good reason not to fly in Canada. Damn you, Canadian airline. That's right, they gotta buy their charts. Probably don't. Just as good as the struggles. Hard to tell that stuff. Now you can see we got more clouds. I'm trying to see if I can find back to the indicators. All I got is the flights areas over here. We're talking 200 feet, 800 feet. 744 from the top. So 8. So we can go below this again. So we'll do it again. Let's go to 65. Down to 2. Actually, let's go to 45. Take it down to 4,500. We can always stop there. 4,500. too low to me. I'll stop 60. Looks like we'll be fine. That's 6,500. Let's take a look. Slow it down to 2. Wait for it to capture. So as it captures, bring the power up. There we go. Don't forget to do the power. You don't want to have the thing. Now, no approach, there's no arrivals, there's nothing. We know we want to run away 103. So after Keska, we will switch to heading mode and we'll aim for just a little to the right of Keska so that we can line up with it. Again, or I can just go right to the airport, which maybe we'll just do it this time. But we know that we want to get 2,000. That's only 60 miles, so okay, so we speed it up. Waiting for the heading to change. This time we're going to do it without cheating. We're going to try not to use the 60 speed. That's what happens. We're close. It's a 2, but let's change. We are over some Nancy airfield. We're flying right over Montreal, and you know there's no way Montreal can do this flight across the lines. No way. Career mode is okay. It doesn't. If I was being realistic, I would be completely different from to avoid stuff like that. So we're at 8. We're at 45 out. So we get to about 25 out. We'll slow it down and go down to 2,000. Even though I haven't tuned frequencies, this thing will give me the frequency atomically that's pattern. It's my phone. This is flying fine. We're close. Taking down to 1. Descend to 2,000. Since we're landing, we're going to slow it lower than usual. We're going to slow it quite a bit. So we'll throttle idle. We're going to announce our arrival position. When it is, we'll find out.
Charlie Sierra Yankee, tree traffic. Cessna November 72910, 10 miles southwest, 4100, inbound to land, runway 0 tree. Charlie Sierra Yankee tree.
So we'll probably go and do the pattern as islands. Descend because I want to be at 2001. We're landing to the north. The north is left. It's going to go this way, big one from us. So you can see there's a river. Once we cross the river, we'll be in the field, and there's a river on the other side, so it's between two rivers. One river. I think that's it. I think that's it here. I can't tell you. I'm not too good at finding the fields. So this is the second river, and then there's another stream. So lights on. I didn't put lights on if it was nighttime. I got performance dingers and traffic lights. There's no point doing flaps here until I see it. No point. I think that's it right in front of me. Amongst those trees. There's a little river. It's back to 10 o'clock, so we'll speed. Stay here until we see if that is the says that it's 2 miles away. It should be. Well, we'll certainly see. That's it. It should be on top. It should be right here. Oh, there it is, right below me. Let's see. Feet out. It's that thing right there. Now I'm going to, because I don't want Crew to ding me. Yep, there's the entry. Turn off the 1 notch of flaps in, bring one power up. Yep, and then we will make so we're going 1.3, so opposite 1.3 is 40. So Got to be kidding, the server crashed. Are you kidding? Okay, folks, that's the end of the sim. That's the end of this display.